Hey guys! Okay, check this out. Isn't this cute? These are really, really tiny little comic books, and I did in fact make these comics. You can read the actual comic in a PDF file, but I made these little miniature comics for my MOC characters, which you can see the book actually does flip, and there are 2 books in total, and I showed how to make these, and here's the back side, and here's the side. The side on this one for the first book actually didn't turn out as good as the second one. Here's the second one. This travels the front of book 2. And again, you have this little writing, front page, and each page. And unfortunately, I did experience a little damage onto the books because it wasn't fully dry with the glaze when I assembled it. So unfortunately, I faced some boogers. But, oh well. They're still cute. And I might try to remake these sometime. But, yes, the whole little book was made accordion style, and then this one also has the cool little spine. And again, I showed how to make these. And they came out a little bit bigger than I was expecting or hoping. You can see that the second book is actually thicker than the first. And I was hoping to make these half the size, but I kind of just didn't measure right, and they came out a little bit bigger. But you can see they still fit very well with the figurines in their hands. So it's about the size of a standard book for any MOC figurine. And yeah, you can put these on your shelves or whatever, and this is in fact a real comic that I made, and I just wanted to show how I did these, and I think they're really, really cool. So yeah. To make the comic, first I printed out my comic, which I assembled in Photoshop so that it could be folded and put together as an entire book. It's very simple, really. The only thing that you will face, if you have a laser printer, you're lucky, because you won't have to take the next step that I had to. Because I have an inkjet, I wanted to have that glossy shine that comic books do, so I went and varnished it with gloss varnish of Liquitex gloss varnish. You can use any kind of varnish really, but this kind just doesn't stick to itself, which is why I use it. Unfortunately, there are some little setbacks. You'll experience a little bit of bleeding from the ink every time you try to varnish anything that's printed on an inkjet printer. It just happens. There's no way around it, really. And the way you deal with that is be careful, work quickly, try doing things in one stroke, and then you'll be able to just cut off all the greasiness once you're done. So that's the first step. Print out and glaze. Next step, cutting out your comic book strips. I use a paper cutter for this, and I just line it up and cut. Now that I have the comic book pieces cut out, what you do next is you need to score the edges, and each one has a small seam located on each page in between. Just line up your edges with those little tiny lines and score them. In this case I use a scoreboard, but you can also use a ruler and a little tiny tool or whatever works for you. So I just line them up like that and then take out my tool, and you're going to start to score these very simply. Center it and score. Start folding along your scored edges until you start getting something like an accordion fold, going from in and out like so, and continue this process all the way down your paper strips. Now you can see we have our accordion folded sections. The reason why there are sections is because there was not enough room on the page to print out a full entire strip of solid pages. I had to put them on in sections. Although I do think this book came out a little bit big. Next time I might try making it half the size. But what we're going to do is take these sections, and the areas that have been split will be glued to their backs of each other, so you get a two-sided page. In the front, remember, front and back covers are to be left open. You'll find out why. Now you can see we have our sections glued together. You can see them sticking out here and here. What you want to do now is avoid the first front two pages on both ends and start with the second or the third and fourth. All you want to do is start gluing these sections. I use standard tacky glue. Just like so. You get it near the edge. Make sure everything is nice and covered. Once it is, butt the other edge up against the first and press, which will get you that. Continue this step all the way down to the last page and leave these two pages open. You can see that now that we've folded our layers together, we start to get something that's a developed spine from the folding and pressing. And I'm just continuing this all the way and finishing the final pages off. And crease it against the side and squish it down. Press firmly. Make sure everything is stuck, and you can see that the spine is now forming. Now that we have our spine formed, I run some glue along it, and you can see that the book is pretty much all done. Next step, I take a piece of plain paper, a small strip that's measured the same size as the book, and I start to glue it. Now that it's glued, I align it with the edges and press it down carefully. I tend to be a bit precise about this, trying to get it as good looking as I can. And this piece of paper is to support the actual cover spine. Now I take my glue again, and I take the actual spine with the name, and I do the same thing. Glue it thoroughly. Cap. Make sure your spine is facing the direction you want it to, and place it along carefully. Pressing it down firmly, just as the last one, and making sure it aligns with the butt of the spine. And just pressing out the bubbles. Make sure everything's taut. Now the spine's down, the next step is to glue down the front covers. Hold up the front covers and press them down firmly. I also open it up and press it on both sides to make sure that it sticks. That side's pretty good, and then we just do the front. Same thing.
crease down the edges. Some goes on the inside. And there you go.